in this season of all the different varieties of epidemics that's going on, right? It's very taxing on the individual mind. It's very taxing on the unknown and what you don't know your kids are walking into and going into school. So I kind of wanted to talk a bit about that and how that can manifest its way into deficit thinking on the while you're at work, right? Because you don't stop being a guardian or a parent once you clock in at work. Any parent knows that, or any guardian knows that. You definitely don't turn that off, right? So what happens is you're at work and you have all these troubles and all these worries happening while you're at work, and then it plays itself into showing into your work where you may be uneasy or just unconscious, unavailable, right? And so what happens is it can manifest and show itself to a point where you're maybe dropping the ball at work, or maybe you're not being the most productive version of yourself. So I wanted to talk a little bit of ways to navigate through that.
Let's do it. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm ready to talk, and I hope you guys are. Don't forget, goldminethoughts.com. What other form of contact can we reach you just before we begin?
Yes, you can reach me at the website, www.goldminethoughts.com. You can email info@goldminethoughts.com, or you can follow me on all social media platforms at Coach Barnes GMT.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So let's get started. Go ahead, hon.
Okay, so as I was saying, our kiddos are getting ready to go back to school, and we are very anxious about what they're going to encounter. We're also very anxious about the unknown. And I think the best way to tackle that would be making sure if you are unable to attend the orientation before sending your child or your little one back to school, I would definitely recommend reaching out to the school and asking them to possibly create an option for a virtual orientation, or definitely send home documentation of notes that were captured from that orientation. And here's why. During those orientations, and again, I was a former dean of students in the middle school, so I'm speaking from experience. During those orientations, a number of things are addressed. One, any new changes to uniforms, any new changes to school codes, any new changes to behavior expectations, code of conduct. All those things are addressed in the summer right before students go back to school. And a lot of times they make minor tweaks based on what happened or instances that happened the previous year. So it's important to be there so that you are abreast to or aware of any minor changes that may happen that can typically affect your little one, or that you're just not privy to, so you know how to address certain situations. Another thing that is covered in there is any new health codes or any new expectations or rulings that were given by the CDC, whether your child goes to a private school or whether your child goes to a charter school or a public school, those things are still covered there. So that's another reason why it's important to go to those orientations and receive that information. Also, it allows you to get a feel in an introduction to any new families who are entering the school, who their children will be engaging with your children. So it's important because as young ones develop, right, they're very influential by their peers, their environment, the environmental interactions. A lot of those things play a role in their development and their emotional development and capacity within the school setting, and often turns itself back to home. So those things are important to have an understanding of what's going on within the school, so that you are not at work worrying
Yeah.
Is my child safe?
Yeah.
Like who's my child around? Are they wearing masks? What is the expectation as far as wearing masks in a classroom? What happens if someone's exposed? What's the next step? What's the next step? Should my child have a fever or have symptoms? Who am I? Like, who reaches out to me? What's the time frame from when they either have to shut down a classroom, or what's the time frame of when a student is able to return back to school? Like, all those things will be playing in your mind